Mr. President, we haven't had a single government shutdown during the entire 117th Congress, and thanks to this week-long extension today, we're not starting now. Today's one-week continuing resolution will keep the government open long enough to give our appropriators a chance to finish their work on a year-long funding package. This is about taking a very simple, exceedingly responsible step to ensure we finish the year without hiccups and without minimal drama. A one-week CR will give us more time so we can keep working.
On this vote, the yeas are 71 and the nays are 19. The 60-vote threshold having been achieved, the motion to concur is agreed to. Under the previous order, H-Con Res 123 is considered agreed to, and the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table.
We've heard repeated concerns that Wagner and groups that are linked to it manufacture or exploit insecurity. They threaten stability. They undermine good governance. They rob countries of mineral wealth. They violate human rights. And we've heard that and seen that again and again. If you go back to 2017, Wagner forces have deployed to the Central African Republic. They've deployed to Mozambique, to Mali, to Libya. And at the same time, we've seen disinformation campaigns that are furthering the exploitative goals that Wagner and its founder have quite literally across the continent of Africa. Our partners in Africa tell us that they do not want their resources exploited. They don't want the human rights of their people abused. They don't want their governance undermined, and ultimately, as a result, they really don't want Wagner.
The United States is seeking to extradite a former U.S. Marine from Australia who was arrested there for allegedly providing aircraft carrier training to Chinese military pilots. An indictment unsealed by a U.S. court earlier accuses Daniel Duggan of breaking U.S. arms control law and alleges he provided military training to Chinese military pilots through a South African flight school in 2010 and 2012 when he was a U.S. citizen. Allegations say Duggan evaluated the Chinese trainees and instructed them in landing on aircraft carriers. Duggan's lawyer Dennis Morales on Friday called those charges political and that Australia should reject extradition because it does not have a similar law.
These charges clearly are political in nature, and that in and of itself would be sufficient in front of a hearing, if the matter went that far, to allow a magistrate to find Mr. Duggan ineligible for surrender. We have directly written to the Attorney General, and we have put him on notice, squarely and fairly, that in the event that he is to accept this extradition request, he will be bringing, or risks bringing, the administration of justice in Australia to disrepute.
Australia has a bilateral extradition treaty with the United States, and the country's Attorney General must decide on the extradition request by December 25th. Duggan's lawyer also claimed his client faced inhumane treatment in custody and was reportedly refused medical treatment by Australian authorities. The pilot was arrested in a rural Australian town in October after returning from China. He's now an Australian citizen after announcing his US citizenship in 2017. Days before Duggan was detained, Britain announced a crackdown on its own ex-military pilots who were providing training courses for Chinese pilots at the same South African flying school Duggan had worked at.
EVs confront the leap to the mass market. The past year has been sobering for investors who poured money into electric vehicle startups. As interest rates rose and financial markets gyrated in 2022, shares deflated for many EV makers hoping to copy Tesla's success. Rivian, which had a higher market value than Ford shortly after it went public in 2021, lost more than 70% of its value in the past year. Electric van maker Arrival warned it could run out of cash in less than a year. Shares in China's Xpeng lost more than 80% of their value. The automobile industry is pouring more than $1 trillion into a revolutionary shift from combustion engines to cleaner, safer electric vehicles. Tesla's surge to become the world's most valuable automaker had humbled previously reluctant, established automakers like Toyota and Volkswagen. Starting in 2023, a wave of new electric vehicles, from pickup trucks to middle-market SUVs and sedans, will hit the world's major markets. The challenge for startups and established brands alike is persuading consumers to come along for the ride. In China, EVs make up 21% of the market. In Europe, around 12%. But in the United States, the EV market share is only about 6%. Industry analysts predict electric vehicles could account for a third of the North American market and about 26% of vehicles produced worldwide by 2029. Over the next few years, as many as 74 different electric vehicle models could become available in North America. But the analysts warn fewer than 20% of them are likely to sell at volumes above 50,000 a year. 2023 and beyond could be decisive years for many of the new crop of electric vehicle brands.
U.S. stocks ended sharply lower on Thursday, with each of the major averages suffering their biggest daily percentage drop in weeks, as fears intensified that the Federal Reserve's battle against inflation using aggressive interest rate hikes could lead to a recession. The Dow fell 2.25%, the S&P 500 dropped 2.5%, while the Nasdaq lost more than 3%. Separate reports showing a steeper than expected decline in retail sales on the one hand, but a strong job market on the other hand, with the biggest drop in months for claims of unemployment benefits, further unnerved investors already worried about a Fed that's determined to bring down inflation, no matter how it impacts the economy in the short term. Ken Moraif is founder and CEO of Retirement Planners of America.
The Fed doesn't care about the stock market. They've said it multiple times, but investors seem to feel that because the Federal Reserve for the last 20 years has come to our rescue every time, that they're going to do it this time. They've done everything they can to tell us we're not coming to the rescue this time. And if you think of inflation as cancer, you think of recession as the flu, given a choice of which one you want, it's the flu. And so if they're going to drive us into a recession, they're going to do it.
As for individual stocks, Netflix slumped more than 8.5% after a media report said the company's ad-supported model was off to a slow start and that Netflix would let its advertisers take their money back after missing viewership targets. Shares of Nvidia dropped 4% after HSBC Global Research began coverage of the chipmaker stock with a reduced rating. Shares of other megacaps, Apple, Meta Platforms, and Alphabet all fell more than 4% as tech stocks bore the brunt of the selling, but shares of Tesla eked out a 0.5% gain, snapping a 3-day losing streak as a filing showed CEO Elon Musk unloaded $3.6 billion worth of shares this week.